Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do another episode of the DIY Dollar Tree Farmhouse Easter egg series. We're going to do some newsprint eggs. And then I love these ones, they're so easy. I'm going to show you two techniques. Again, we're going to use any plastic Easter eggs that you want, any color, size. You can get them from anywhere. We're also going to just use some newspaper, and they don't have to be any fancy fun articles either. We're going to use, for one technique, we're going to use some washable school glue. This is Jot brand from the Dollar Tree. And then for the second, we're going to use spray adhesive. Now, I've picked the Aleene's tacky spray adhesive that I got at Walmart because I didn't find the Dollar Tree spray adhesives were tacky enough. They just basically made the newspaper wet. Now, that would have worked eventually. It just would have taken a lot longer. And since I had this on hand, I went ahead and I used it. First thing you want to do is you want to find articles of words. You're going to make the strips very narrow, so it doesn't even have to be very big articles. You can either do strips or sections. We're going to actually do one egg with strips and one egg with sections. But basically, we're going to tear off almost thumb size pieces of newspaper article, and we're going to decoupage that. But for the first one, we're going to do strips, and we're going to use the spray adhesive. I've taken the cover to the Dollar Tree spray adhesive to hold the egg on. Like I said, I did try the Dollar Tree spray adhesive. This was the first brand that they had come out with. Maybe the second and third brands would have been better. I actually didn't try them, and I actually forgot that they had come out with other types. I only had that first one, and I keep trying it. I keep giving it a shot. It's just not really working for me. But like I said, I had the Aleene's from the lampshade project, and it basically is, you know, worth it. You get a lot more ounces for the $4.88 that it cost me. Plus, it is more like the traditional spray adhesive, like the 3M spray adhesive. It actually feels like that, and it works like that as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to create our strips, and I'm going to rest the egg onto the cover just to give it elevation, well, or it falls down. And then I'm just a really light mist with the spray to hold the newspaper down. Literally just the lightest mist with the spray. After you put down a couple of strips, then you hit it again with the light mist just so that you can do the overlap process that you may need, okay? And you're just going to cover it with whatever newsprint you want. Now, this technique, I'm calling it newsprint egg, but this technique will work with any pretty paper that you have, as long as it's thin enough. Tissue paper, not tissue paper necessarily, napkins I was thinking, like, I'm sorry, tissue paper works too, but with napkins would be beautiful. They have some really pretty like computer paper, you know, that comes in pretty prints. That would be lovely as well. If you have a book that you can get with beautiful poetry lyrics on it, anything that you want that you don't mind ripping up would be great. But I was thinking that part of the farmhouse look is the making something from nothing, taking something that they would have laying around the house and utilizing it as art. And this is definitely something that we can attribute my grandma maybe might doing this, because she had newspapers laying around, and whatever they didn't burn or use for kindling or insulation or whatever, they would create with it, they would craft with it. And that's what made me feel like the inspiration to do this egg. Now, I didn't color it, I didn't tea stain it, I didn't antique it, but you could. After you're done decoupaging this, you could stain it with any color stain you want. You could, I wouldn't do the tea bag soak in the paper after you've decoupaged it, but definitely you could sponge on different whitewashed water. I'm so sorry. Watered down brown paints. We've made stain in this channel before. I would do any of that if you wanted to antique it. But I know eventually these will yellow, even with the decoupage on them, or the glue on them, and they will yellow eventually, so I wasn't worried about it. I'm just going to leave it this way and let it age naturally. All right? So I will tell you that this tacky glue, I would use gloves, because just like the 3M glue, it doesn't just wash off with water. and it takes a while for you to actually manipulate the glue off your fingers. I did forget that when I started, but it was like in for a penny, in for a pound at that point. My dad had a technique of washing. He was a machinist and a fisherman and a hunter, and whenever he would have something that really needed to get off of his hands really well, he would take Dawn dish soap and a little bit of Comet. I know that that sounds harsh for your skin, but it's just a once in a while thing. You don't do this every time you craft. You just do this when you have something very, very difficult to get out of your skin. And that seems to work for us. We have a nail brush that we keep in our sink for just those days when you have stuff that you just can't get off. And this was one of those days, okay? But I'm just going to do this. Make sure you cover the entire egg. Get it the way you want it, and then you're going to set it off to dry. This does dry extremely quickly, but it does take a little bit for the tackiness to go away. There are some different techniques. You could dust it with powder. You could dust it with, actually dust really works really well. I know that sounds silly, but if you took like lint from your dryer and you rubbed it over it, it would give it like a nice soft sheen. But I'm just going to set it off to dry. And then we're going to work on the other one. But first, the cleanup. Because I'm doing two different techniques, I wanted to make sure I cleaned up all the paper that had the tacky glue on it, the spray glue basically, because there's a lot of overspray, which is why we were working on newspaper. And I should have told you that in the beginning. Not only did we take some of the newspaper, we cut it up for our actual decoupage, but we actually used some of the newspaper underneath our work surface. Because you know that there's a lot of overspray when it comes to spray glue. You also want to make sure that your room is well ventilated. I had to sit right next to a window, and I had the window open because it also could cause some breathing issues, okay? Now for this next one, we're just going to use some washable school glue. I did show you that there's the Jot brand. I do have some of the Jot brand at home as well, but what I'm currently using is all of my Staples brand. When I was at AHRC, we got school teacher provisions. That's not the right word. We've got school teacher privileges, and whenever something would go on Staples for 25 cents and you were allowed to get one, as a teacher we were allowed to get 10. So I had lots of the school glue left over. And actually I only have 2 bottles, this one and one more, so I'm almost done. But we're not going to dilute this. We're not going to make Mod Podge. We're actually just going to use school glue. I know this is so elementary. See what I did there? Okay, so for this one, you could do strips, you could do chunks. We're going to do a combination. What I wanted to do is I wanted to cover the most of the surface with sort of like bigger pieces, and then go back and fill the detail of the overlapped and the rip edges and the words going in different directions. All right, so what I basically did was I took a Dollar Tree paintbrush. This is one of the soft bristle ones, and I just coated an area. And then I used the paintbrush sometimes to pick up the piece of paper from the table. Sometimes I pick the piece of paper up with my finger. Either way works. This is messy projects, but as far as all of these projects are concerned, this is the one that you can do with your kids. This is the one you can do if you have individuals with any kind of disabilities, physical, intellectual, any of those things. This is a great project for everybody to participate in. Even if you have somebody who has tactile issues and doesn't want to touch the glue, they could rip the paper up for you. This is one of those times where you actually allow them to go ahead and rip up the newspaper. You have to let them know this is the one just for crafting. Okay, great. So then you're just going to repeat this across the whole egg. Now, I mentioned before you could do this with tissue paper. So I don't know if anybody remembers, but back when I was in kindergarten, we took an orange juice glass bottle. Okay, if you're young, hi, I'm not. When we were younger, Tropicana orange juice used to come in glass bottles. Milk used to come in glass bottles too, but that was a little before my time. And Tropicana orange juice bottles were like the thing. We didn't have a lot of money growing up, so we almost never got orange juice. But when it was told we had to bring in a glass bottle for orange juice, it would be like that treat where you're like, ooh, I have to bring in a glass bottle. We get to have orange juice. Okay. But when we were in kindergarten, we basically decoupaged tissue paper onto glass bottles, so it had a very stained glass-esque effect. that would be fantastic. If you're going to do that on these eggs, I would suggest you paint them white first. Otherwise, the color of the actual egg is going to mud up, and that's the expression, all of the tissue paper that you put on there. So unless you pick a pink egg and use different shades of pink and red tissue paper, whatever color you're going to do is tissue paper is going to come through, the pink is going to come through. So if you put green, it's going to look brown and muddy. That's where the expression comes from. All right. But this would be really cute if you painted this white and did like almost like a stained glass looking thing, just to throw back to the 70s, you know, when we tissue papered everything. Decoupage tissue paper on everything. We also did tissue paper flowers. Do you guys remember that? All right, I'll stop talking. I was told by one person that I talk too much, so I'll just stop talking for them. Not, I'm just kidding. They can go watch someone else's YouTube channel. But so you're just going to continue all the way around. So what I've done is, and you kind of saw like a break and play. I did the one half of the egg and I let it dry for about an hour. Didn't take very long. This glue dries very quickly, but it was an hour because I had to go cook. And then I came back. I turned it over. It was dry enough for me to go ahead and do the second side, which I just continued the same way. If you're interested in what I've got going on with my glue, I have the cover of the glue standing up inside the cap for the spray glue that I used to hold the egg in the first half of the project. And I'm dipping in that. But then I'm almost down to I actually finished this bottle on this project. And then I eventually just pour it in the cap. So you could just get a little container and you could pour your glue in there. And then this is washable glue, so you could just wash it out. It's school glue, so it's non-toxic. So you could just really rinse it out down your sink and put it in your dishwasher, okay? So now I'm just continuing. This is the part where I said we're going to rip up little pieces to just really create that accent of the words going in different directions. And the reason I picked newsprint not only was because it's cheap and free, and not only because it gives that farmhouse feel, but it also, I love the font. I know it sounds crazy, but newsprint font to me has always been very classic. I don't know why. If you guys, I don't know, maybe because, I don't know. I really wish I did. So to me, that's just what it felt like. So I also wanted to go with that look as well. It would be beautiful if I had some of those, the French, it's like French postage love letter, like sort of handwriting that you see in a lot of different things. Because of the French country feel of my home, that would be beautiful if I had some of that. But I don't. I just had this, so this is what we're working with. But like I said, just like every craft we do around here, I like to teach you guys techniques and inspire you to create your own. All right? Now, as far as embellishing these are concerned, I mentioned it. If this is your first time watching one of the videos in the series, hi, I'm Jeri-Ann. But we have a whole series on farmhouse Easter eggs that we're doing this week. And I mentioned it the first and I think the last video that each tutorial is to not only teach you how to create the egg, but also they'll all have different embellishments on them so that you can mix and match the embellishments. So say you really enjoy the simplicity of tying the strings on, but you wanted to do that to the jute eggs, well then you can go ahead and do that. So the embellishments as well as the finishes of the eggs are all interchangeable. Again, I'm just teaching you guys techniques, and you go ahead and make them your own. I love to see when you guys share with me how you make them your own. Some people who are only on YouTube have asked me, how do you share them? You can email me, message me on Facebook or Instagram. You can send me a direct message. I'm also on Twitter, and all of the links to all of those social media links are in the description box right below this video. If you're watching this video sideways on your phone, turn it straight up and down, and then you'll see the description box. Okay, so now back to embellishing. For this one, I just took a piece of jute and tied it around the egg. I put a tiny piece of lavender right under it, tied it right around it, and that was it. I took a little piece of the lavender leaf and I stuck it under the glued flower. The flower's not glued, the tied flower. And what I did there with my scissor was I just curled the leaf just to give it a little bit more life, okay? Now for this one, we're going to take some of the baker's twine that we just used in the last video to cover the egg. And we're just going to wrap it around a few times and then tie a pretty bow. And then we're going to take one of these fun buttons that I got at Hobby Lobby. These are really cute wooden buttons that had all kinds of French country feel to them, as well as ones that have like a farmhouse touch. But what I ended up picking was the one that's like a little tiny clock. It looks like a really old clock. And then I just stuck it under the knot. And what I decided to do is just hold it with a little piece of, not a little piece, a little drop of hot glue. I put hot glue between the button and the twine and between the knot and the button. And that's it. So I hope you really enjoyed this tutorial. If you do, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions at all, leave them in the comments down below. Don't forget to share this video with friends and family. Anybody you know might be interested in seeing how to do any of these techniques or join the series. And if you haven't yet, click subscribe, and when you do, a little bell will pop up. When you ring that bell, YouTube will let you know whenever I upload a new video. And as always, take care, God bless, and we'll see you next time. Bye.